It's your boy Remy Roy Closing Out Ruckus, and today's video is about using. Using, that's right, I said using. Now, there's a couple of parts to it. It's being processed in my head, so I don't know how many parts of it. But I guess there's you could break it down to two sides, right? Now, the first part, or the first half, or whatever you want to call it, is, uh, so the first aspect of it is, make sure my face lit. Alright, so the first aspect of it is, how do you use people? You know what I mean? You're supposed to use people. You know what I mean? And even me saying it sounds weird, but you're supposed to use people. God didn't put you here by yourself. You can't make another motherfucker by yourself. You're supposed to use people in life. Now, with that being said, there are three ways to use people. The first way is the correct way, which is an exchange. You know what I mean? An exchange meaning you giving that person something and they're giving you something back in return. So, a perfect example is, okay, with two people, I can only think of between man and nature. We breathe out carbon dioxide and then breathe in oxygen, and the plants take in carbon dioxide and push out oxygen. But the plants don't really need us, so that's still a bad example because it's not an exchange, an even exchange, you know what I mean? Because if we were wiped out, the plants would still live. But if all the plants were wiped out, we would be wiped out. So that's more so of the worst one, which is a leech. You don't want to be a leech or a bloodsucker, a sucker dry, you don't want to be that, all right? And then the third one is in between. So it's like you're receiving something from somebody and it's a lot more than what you're giving back to them. You know what I mean? And those type of relationships can last a certain amount of time depending on who that person is, how close you are to, and how much that person is using that other person. But those can't last forever, you know what I mean? And the same with the blood suckers. You're gonna suck that person dry, and then eventually, if that person then dies or is no longer able to benefit that blood sucker, then they go move on to the next one, like mosquitoes, right? So those are the three types. You want to be an exchanger, you know what I mean? You find people that you like in your life. You want to make sure that you're putting back into them, especially if you feel like you're getting a lot from them. And if you don't know what that is, ask them. And with this exchange, it could be a number of things. For someone, it might be companionship, and for somebody, it might be actual money. You know what I mean? This person gives me money, and this person is a really good friend to me, like a loyal friend to me, and the exchange on both sides, they feel like it's even or equal, and therefore that relationship will be able to be sustainable throughout whatever course of their friendship or whatever time period. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's what you want to be able to. So now that applies for relationships, friendships, enemies, frenemies. It don't matter what it is. How are you using them? Is it an exchange? Are you using them more than they using you? Are they using you more than you using them? And if so, are you making sure you're what you call it, strategic with which your energy, your time, or whatever resource they might be using or utilizing off of you? And are they giving you something in return where you now don't feel drained or empty after the exchange or after encounter, and they feel now up and renewed and ready to go attack the world, and you feel like shit, you know what I mean? So it's just like, how do you use people? You know what I mean? I'm sure we all have people that we're using incorrectly. I'm sure we have people that we need to get out of. There's a lot of bloodsuckers in our life we need to get rid of. And shit, you might be a bloodsucker to some people, and you may have never really realized it or seen it that way, but now you're able to really realize it. And if that person's really important to you in your life, you can now start looking or go have a conversation with that person on how you can now find something that a value that you have that they would want or that they can benefit from, so you can now make that exchange. You know what I mean? And then now, that's basically the first part of using. The second part of using is we use tools. And tools doesn't mean a physical tool like a comb. I'm about to use this comb to do my hair. But when I say tools, anything could be a tool. A computer's a tool. Social media is a tool. This Sage, this is a tool. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how do you use tools? How do you use your patience? How do you use your discipline? How do you use your will? How do you use all these different, not another person, but a tangible, or not necessarily as something tangible, but it's just like, how do you use these things? How do you use the knowledge that you have acquired to now benefit you in your life? You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, so I know that 2 + 2 is 4. Great. Now, how can I apply that? How can I use that? You know what I mean? Oh, I have two, I have 2 kids and I need to feed. I need to make 2 meals. Okay, so 2 + 2, and that's not even 2 + 2 is 4. That's the wrong way of using 2 + 2 is 4. But it's like, y'all get the motherfucking shit that I'm trying to say. You get it? But if you don't, I guess you can rewind and think about it again. I don't know. But anyway, so how do you use things? You know what I mean? Like, best example I could think of is drugs, because we all use them. Aspirin. I'm not just talking about weed and smoking weed or drinking, but those included aspirins, Advils. Do you just take an Advil every day because it's supposed to take an Advil every day, or do you only take it when you have a headache? Is that the useful? You know what I mean? And then what is Advil doing? Is it actually healing the headache, attacking the root? How do you use it? Do you understand that Advil is just blocking off the nerve senses so you don't feel the headache, but the headache is still there? Do you not want to attack the root? That's all a whole nother conversation. But how do you use whatever the hell you use? You smoke weed? How do you use it? Is it recreational purposes? Is it to dive deeper? Is it to escape? Is it to help you with creative process? Is it to help you you filter through your emotions? What is it for you? Does it help you calm down, stay calm? Does it help you focus? It's a lot of things for different people. Does it help you cope with pain or suffering or whatever the case may be? There's a whole bunch of different reasons and points to use marijuana, you know what I mean? Good or bad. Same thing with alcohol. Why do you use alcohol? Some people at weddings, they cheer with alcohol. Is that bad? I wouldn't see it as bad at a wedding, but it's just like, then there's going to the club, then there's people who go to the bars. You go to the bar every night, and even if you do go to the bar every night, you do drink every day. Is it excessive? It's not excessive. How do you use it? Do you use it to escape? Do you use it to relax, recreation, vice versa, and all these other things? And it's just like, now apply that for any and everything. How do you use your patience? Do you use it in the morning, in the nighttime? When did your patience start running thin? And it's like, oh, you can apply and use any and everything in your motherfucking life. Oh, how are you using it? You know what I mean? I have a computer, and I use this computer specifically to make my music. I don't use it for anything else. Not social media, not anything. I use it to make my music. This phone right here, this is my camera. This is how I make all my videos. You know what I mean? This space right here is for me to create. That's why I'm always here. You see me making mad videos in here. I make all my music. I record in here. Right on the other side of this wall that you don't see, I got my speakers in here, play my music loud as hell. And on top of that, this is not in my house. It's in my parents' garage, which is in the backyard, which is his own kind of house. So I can play my music loud as hell and don't disturb anybody. So that's how I use this space. I used to use downstairs in the basement, but I still would disturb the neighbor upstairs. Now I found a space where I can do the things that I need to do to think. Another perfect example is, I'm about to do my hair. How do you use this oil? I don't use it in the beginning. I use it at the end. Had that shit looking fleek. Oh, okay, boom. What's this? This is leave-in conditioner. Shake it up, squirt it in my hair. I don't use lock gel anymore. Why? Cause I don't need it. I don't use it. If I could use it, but it's just gonna get a bunch of gunk stuck in my hair whenever I retwist. Don't need that, so I just use this. What's this? Oh, it's good for my scalp and hair food. So that's what when I finish parting all this shit, and then my scalp is actually accessible to the air, I apply this shit. I use it the way that I feel is gonna best benefit me. And then that's what you're supposed to do with any and everything in your life. What do you feel is there's a lot of things in life that's gonna be shown to you, whether it benefits you or doesn't benefit you. How do you use those things? You know what I mean? To then get what you want out of life. You get me? This. This is a tool. What is this a tool for? Clean your motherfucking teeth. How do you use it? Some people, I was just chewing on it like this the whole time because the oral fixation. Some motherfuckers actually, you know what I mean? So it's just like, how do you use the tools that you now know, or the skills, or the people that you've been given in your life? How do you use the religion? How do you use your spirituality? How do you use any and everything in your life to benefit you in your life? You know what I mean? And what's your relationship to it? And last thing that ties into both of them is, what's your intention with it? You get me? Like, what's truly your intention? Like, if you quote unquote using a person, whatever the case may be, what is your intention behind the thing? Like, for example, I watch Gary Vee. My intention is to use the tactics and strategy things that he used to create his business to create my business. And what will end up benefit him in the long run is when I make it and I say shout outs to Gary Vee, that will be him receiving, and that's why it will be an exchange, you know what I mean? And he may not even ever hear me tell me or give him a shout out Gary Vee, I watched the videos, inspire me thing. But even with him, his intention when he made his videos was to inspire people. So whether or not he gets the feedback of inspiring people, the fact that he's doing it with that intention, if he receives it or not, he still receives it because that's the intention he put it out with. So what's your intention with using your patience? What's your intention? Like I understand I'm a parent to my daughter. What's my intention? To be the best parent that I could be. So how do I use the things that I know how and what I learned to now try to become that parent? You know what I mean? Sometimes I have to let my daughter yell at me, which I've did, and it's helped. Sometimes I have to scream with my daughter. Go ahead, let it out, scream, ah! And let her scream. That works too. It's not no black and white thing. It's knowing and seeing what applies, what works, when and where, and how to use it correctly in the time that it needs to be used. And once you learn that and master the art of using, nigga, the art of using, and not with malice or incorrectly, because there's a right way to do any and everything, right? So it's just like, what's the right way to use the art of using people, not just using people, but using people, using experiences, using skills, using talent, using inspiration, using whatever it could be, any and everything. So that's my whole point. Like, how do you use what you've been given, tools you've been given, good or bad in life? How do you use it? You know what I mean? A motherfucker that go to jail has to now harden himself. You know what I mean? And if he does do it correctly, it now protects him while he's in jail. You know what I mean? So it may not be useful once he comes out of jail, but in jail is very useful. Is what kept him alive. You know what I mean? So now once he get out of jail, he might have to reprogram himself. And I guess this is what I'm asking us to do, or you guys to do, and myself also. Reprogram yourself to see what is it that I still use, and what is it that is no longer useful to me. And if it's no longer useful to me, I could put it down and leave it there, and it's okay. But if I do need it, pick it up and use it. And then there's shit that I don't have that I need, go find it and go pick it up and use it. And not just pick it up, but actually use it. And then use it at the right time, and then use it correctly. And then I feel like you'll be able to get out of life exactly whatever it is that you want out of life. With that being said, it's your boy Remy Roy, closing that motherfucking ruckus, and I'm out. Peace. Don't be using motherfuckers, you hear me? Don't be using motherfuckers. unless it's an exchange. Then you can use the motherfucker as much as you like. But make sure you put into that motherfucker the same way you take from that motherfucker. Okay? Motherfucker. Alright. Peace. Again. Deuces.